Chapter 9 Cricket in the Night World. Cricket, Tova. "Hello," I said to the stars. "Hello," they said back. A proper welcome makes all the difference. If I were a scientist studying the world, I'd say that the more sincere the greeting, the more successful the research. By saying hello, it tells the world that you're here and available. It makes you a portal for others and their stories. Used to be I didn't think like that. I used to think it was up to others to make themselves known to me. I'd be annoyed if things weren't presented in a clear, user-friendly way. Annoyed with, well, whatever it was. A person, a poem, a painting, a dying dogwood tree, some cat who, for undisclosed reasons, would not accept me stroking its fur. But it's not up to others to present to me the logic of their being. It's up to me to make myself a place of understanding. Feeling amenable tonight, I looked up. I said, hello. It was just after 9 p.m., April 27th. I stood half a mile from home in the fallow field near the woods with my 3 children and Hireb, our good dog. We were there for a dose of the stars. Eli calls it my weekly fix, says I'm addicted to the Milky Way, and maybe it's true. There are far worse habits and addictions, though. The Milky Way doesn't try to control you. It doesn't leave you depleted after its stellar effects. It's open to most everything, the way I'm trying more and more to be. And tonight I was feeling it. Great possibility awaited me and the kids. A shooting star in Leo, say, to take my breath away. Or a comet passing through. I'm just saying, give me an unobstructed night sky and I'm good to go. "Why do we always come here?" said Ali as we headed to our place, which is the place I like best, at the edge of the woods. It's not like I had coerced him to come. He likes it as much as I do. I wanted to say, because it never complains. But I didn't say that, did I? No. "It's one of my favorite places," I said, which temporarily satisfied him. There had been this all-day warm spring rain, but by evening the skies had cleared, and after the sunset the stars emerged from hiding, wishing to be seen. Speaking of things coming out, it would be cicada time soon for the periodic Great Eastern Brood. I was super excited about that. The magic cicada with their sunlight serenade in their new above-ground home. I'd been looking forward to it for 13 years, but that emergence was still a couple weeks off. The time I'm talking now was a night out with my children, about 6 hours ago. It was our time to be available for each other. It was our time to move through the dark and hear the chorus of frogs grow louder under the canopy of stars. Come out, you singers, you millions of lovers. X marks the spot on your tiny frog backs. And if only Leah could hold one, I thought, slimy and web-footed in her palm, to see its vocal sac fill with song in the star-dim light. If only she could hold a frog full of song out under the heavens. She'd feel wonder up close. She'd feel undeniable possibility in its tiny life. She'd never want to leave this amazing world. She'd only want more. Instead of a frog, though, she held my hand, which was typical of my youngest daughter, and I welcomed her palm gladly. Leah does like the sound of peepers. She likes their song as much as she likes me. Maybe more, though I am the one she crawls into bed with at night. She never once has crawled into bed with a frog. I say in bed with me, I mean with us, Eli and me. Mostly she wedges her almost 5-year-old self into the small of my back, nestling into my nightshirt, my skin, making a nest of me. I am large compared to her, a warm mama bear. I'm a place of unlimited hugs, a softie really, though I like to see myself as a mystery that she needs to discover. She's on an adventure to learn these lands, the creeks and marshes, to learn me, I suppose, to... She, being young, is emerging from a velvet, invisible world into this hard and seeable place. She's making her way in her own sweet time. Should we go back to your bed? I will often say on nights, every night almost, when Leah appears next to my face with her stuffed fox. It happens so frequently, I am no longer surprised. You don't tell me what to do, she says. And that's that. Adamant. No more discussion. Well, you can't keep doing this. But she'll just stand there till I soften and come around, till I lift the covers, as I always do, and let her in. Then she'll be asleep in a matter of minutes, all her fears recomposed into a symphony of contentment. As I said, Leah likes the sound of peepers as much as she likes me. Well, maybe she likes me a bit more. It is close. Anyway, I held her hand earlier tonight. The trees motioned to me from the woods, but I kept my distance from them for the time being. Red oaks, sweet gums, flowering dogwoods, all of them my natural friends. Alpha and Allie sat within reach at the edge, talking, though not talking about the stars or the trees, I bet, more likely something from school. Did they even know where they were? Their voices added to the spring composition. Whispering trees, nearby frogs, nocturnal creatures, and the two of them in soft, unassuming tones. There was also music of the spheres that settled upon us, and our gentle breaths that went out to the stars. Leah shuffled her feet. Mama. Yes, honey? Why do frogs have so much music? You know their favorite song, called Ali, All Through the Night. I had to laugh at that, and he wasn't finished. Why are frogs never angry? Because they eat what bugs them. Time's sure fun when you're having flies, I said in response to his joke. Not a chuckle from my children, though. Not even from the stars or the whispering trees, and that was annoying. Holly, honey locust, eastern red cedar, all seemingly having lost their sense of humor. Even the wood violets kept a serious mood, hiding their blooms. Still, life was around me, and I didn't need laughter to know it. I didn't need a magnifying glass either. Life grows in me every day, no matter my preconceptions, no matter my expectations. Thing is, I've learned, like the sky, it's best to be wide. What I enjoy most about the world is that it surrounds us, like Rachel Carson's sea. Isn't her writing the best? I love the natural world, the way someone else might love football, the way someone might love reading a romance or working the numbers, cruising the streets. I'm in constant awe of how life happens on Earth. Life does a good job of showing up for work each day. And, well, we can do the same. It's what I should have said to Ali earlier. Here is where we give each other our time. Why, Mommy? Why what? Oh, right. She'd asked about why frogs have so much music. I wanted to say something true, and poetic. Like, frogs are all about life, and life is all about music. Which works for happy, beautiful sounds, such as frogs and whispering leaves. But what about shouts? What about cries of sadness? If you hear angry discord, if you hear sadness in the world, does that mean that life is unpleasant music? A mother has to be careful with the truth sometimes. They have lots to say, said Ali, speaking for me, telling the obvious. He and Alpha moved into our space. What are they saying? Asked Leah. They have this balloon on their chins, said Alpha, who knew the anatomy. That's their vocal sac. It blows up when they sing. Yes, I knew that, too. But it was only half the reason for their songs. The peepers give voice to existence, I said. They don't ask for anything in return. It's up to us to pay attention and figure it out. What's a sick tense? Asked Leah. Did you know, said Alpha, frogs make their own antifreeze? I read about it. They can literally freeze almost in winter. They sleep that way. They look dead, almost. Then they thaw and wake up. When it gets warm, they wake up slow and start to sing. It's the boys do the singing. Hey girl, we're your peeps. It's boy bands. You don't like boy bands, said Ali. He patted Abe sitting at his feet, gave him a bone biscuit from his pocket. Knick-knack, paddywhack. My father used to play that on his banjo when we were young. I haven't even seen him pick up that thing in forever. Years back he played 2, he played 3, he played knick-knack on the trees. Real gentle, so not to hurt them. And that song is how I learned to count to 10. It's all part of a sick tense, all part of existence, at least mine. Speaking of 10, and of tense, I knew we couldn't stay out forever, even though it was a Friday. Yet, in part, I was thinking that if Leah got super tired, maybe she'd sleep through the night in her own bed, all through the night like a frog. Wake up after 8 for once in her life. Mommy. Yes, honey? We still held hands. The stars were abundant. Can I have a frog? You want a frog for a pet? A froggy frog. Frogs don't want to be a pet, I said. They wouldn't be able to sing, they'd be sad. No, I'd let it sing. She could play with my toys. Frogs like it outside, I said. I'll draw you a picture, said Ali, who loves to draw animals. I don't want a picture. You can hang it by your bed, and then you won't have to sleep with Mommy and Daddy every night. I don't sleep with them every night. Yes, you do. No. Well, you do, said Ali. It's okay, I said softly. It'll keep you company, said Ali. I don't want comedy, said Leah. I want a froggy frog. Company. I didn't say comedy. It'll keep you company. I don't want that. Look, I'll give you a froggy frog, said Ali. It'll be green, and you can talk to it every day. It will be a birthday present. It'll hang with you. A real one? Yes, it'll be real. It'll be your best friend. You can talk and play. Okay? Okay, said Leah. Well, that seemed to work. Ali meant a drawing, of course. Well, he is such a good brother, just like my own. And speaking of my own, they should have been here, I was thinking. Alpha thought it too, same time as me. Weren't Daddy and Uncle O coming out? She asked. They were, I said. Oliver is down for the weekend, it being Leah's birthday tomorrow. He, were or are? Are, I said. I watched the stars, but not for a sign. I watched with an open mind. Birthdays give me reason to hope. It seems that Ali was looking too. Do you think there's life out there? He asked. I don't see why not. Oliver says the universe is made of life. Where are they now? Asked Ali. I don't really know. They could be watching us. Aliens from Andromeda. No, I mean Daddy and Oliver. Oh, I said. I thought the universe was made of atoms and energy, said Alpha. And from where do the atoms get their energy? I said. Where does the energy come from? Alpha didn't know, and I didn't know either. I saw the constellation Leo, though, and that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to say Leo was a boy in my class, 9th grade. He was the first boy I wanted to kiss. He never seemed to notice me, though. And then he left a month or so into school, and nobody knew why. Leo, the boy, a mop of hair, dark skin. He came from Ecuador. Had this warm smile and fresh green smell like a tomato plant. The consternation of his disappearance. The constellation of Leo stars. Its sickle head, the backwards question mark. It made me wonder. I heard that in Leo there are loads of exoplanets. I looked, but couldn't find any. A visitor, a UFO from one of those planets would have been a miracle. How great would that be, I thought, looking up. All I really saw, though, was the bright star Regulus at the heart of Leo. Eli told me that Regulus is actually 4 stars all clumped together. I already knew it, but didn't want to take his pleasure away. He loves to share information. Besides, I didn't know it from his point of view. Everyone's point of view gives a slightly different perspective. Really, there's so much to look forward to in life. Extraterrestrial life is one thing. Eli is another. He complements my sense of awe with his smattering of details. And then I saw it. Not some UFO, and not the unclumping of stars in Regulus, but another detail Eli had told me about, something I also knew, but have never been able to make out. The spring triangle in the southeastern sky. Regulus to Arcturus to Spica. I could almost see the lines connecting the bright stars, like lines on a palm that tell about your life. How many light years had it taken to get where I had gotten, and be able to see it? But finally, I did. Look, I said. What? The spring triangle. Ali and Alpha craned their necks. I tried pointing it out. I see the dipper, said Alpha. That's the sickle, I said. It's Leo's head. The dipper's behind us, through the trees. We all turned that way, looking into the woods. The trees reached out to grab our attention. Nothing iffy about it. All very certain, the attempts of trees. Leah clung tightly to my hand as if she felt something ominous. But it was only the trees of the world wishing to talk. I could understand her concern, though. Trees can appear menacing when you're young and it's dark outside. Truth be said, the child of Leah is a joy to me, a charm, like the clear night sky. She's a gulp of water on a thirsty day. I knew I'd not feel the child in her forever, so I took time to note the warm, slightly clammy hand in my palm, the small, soft press of her, how perfect, how nice. There was the love of my youngest, and the dark of the woods nearby. Trees we could just make out that held our attention, and the space in between where we could move in peace and happiness. Really, nothing to worry about. What more could a person want? But still, I do. I always want more. And in those woods the peepers sang. It's where foxes and deer and bears and lions all masked their common life in unique species, just like the heavens masking its wholeness in stars and constellations. The woods is where my quiet becomes wonder. I wonder about us and why we are we. why we are here, why we have whys, backwards questions, forward questions. Why do we even care about the frogs and the stars? And though I didn't say this, I should have, because that is what we were all talking about just a few minutes before. Life in the universe, life here on Earth, frogs singing spring, springing, all that is sprung now on the way to becoming. So many reasons to keep us interested, to keep us eager and inquisitive and on our toes. If we could just... "Mommy," said Alpha, "someone's coming." I turned from the woods and saw two figures. They carried dark in their bodies, same way the trees of the woods held black in their trunks and branches. The two figures then transformed out of that dark into light inside me, familiar faces. It happened so fast. There was no question. I knew who they were. "Daddy," called Leah, her hand in mine. We were 6 people then, 9:37 out under the stars, not far from home. I was happy for the added company. I wanted to tell the exciting news about the spring triangle. I wanted Oliver to explain to the children that life is not something made by the universe, but that the universe is a creation of life itself. I wanted the trees to bow down so we could see the Big Dipper. I wanted the frogs to find love on this beautiful night. I wanted the deer to join us, the bears and foxes, any lions or antelope that happened to be near. Yes, why not make it a true family reunion? Breathing deeply, I swelled with love. It was the best of days, the most superlative. I was on top of the world. Cloud 9 plus 9, I'm telling you. Cloud 18. The excessive carbon was gone from the atmosphere. Plastics no longer junked up the seas. And the earth spun a just and healthy world, thanks in part to all of us seeing more clearly, all of us being less rigid, more thoughtful people, and thanks in part to each and every song and story of the world that has helped over the years to open our hearts and eyes. It was super fun to be here. Problem is, nothing good lasts forever. Often there seems no rhyme or reason for the change. Up goes suddenly down. On becomes off. Stars fizzle out. Balloons wither and fall. We lower our eyes, level our looks, and our good moods turn grim. All this to say that something had gone wrong. Nothing iffy about it. True, I had not seen it in the sky, not even in the woods. I had not seen it approach out of the dark, but there it stood, with us, for sure. I could tell there was a problem by how Eli kept quiet, looking for words, struggling to speak. It wasn't his way to be like that. And I could tell by how Oliver did not joke. He didn't pull a cookie from behind Leah's ear. He didn't bump into Ali, pretending not to see him, or hand Alpha a gift of trash from his pocket. Instead, he waited for the news to come out into the open and make itself known. Someone had to do the work of explaining, and it was making me anxious. "What?" I said. Eli put a hand on Leah's head. He stroked her hair, which sounded like grasses whispering secrets. "What is it?" I asked. "I have some sad news," said Eli. Though we all may think we do, who actually sees the world with clarity? I suppose what happens on Earth is too much for one human being to make sense of all at once. No doubt the world is full of information, some of it hidden, like the vast connection underneath the tiny mushrooms that pop from the ground. Some of it a bit more visible, like the word of the morning sun that appears through the eastern window. And some of it not information at all, such as kindness, banjo music, or sadness in the heart. If I had to make a list of things in the world, I'd start with sea nettles because I love them so much. I love to watch them in the summertime as they pulse to the surface, then turn ever so slowly to descend into the murky green water off the pier. My list would begin, jellyfish at the top, with tigers and ospreys, bears right up there too, marshes and honeysuckle, 5 and 6, goldenrod, 7, 8 chicken mushrooms near the base of trees, that or old man of the woods, a choice bolete, though it is important to avoid the ones with red pores. 9 pigs, definitely pigs. 10 spring dandelions, yellow and bold. My list would include every note of nature's composition. Stars, frogs, poison ivy, cicadas, you name it. It would even include notes of nature's decomposition, like when you see an old tree stump slowly turning into soil. Reluctantly, I'd include the note of actual death in my list, as when you see your cat kill a bird, or when you yourself hit a squirrel with your car, and killing the poor creature stops your breathing right there in its tracks. I say reluctantly because it's difficult for me, a mother, to rejoice over death, even that of a whiny mosquito. Death puts into the world a sudden loss that is difficult to bear. Then somewhere at the end of my list, which is as important as the start, I'd put spiders and trees and compassion. There is no hierarchy. Spiders are great, and trees so easy to get along with, even in the dark of night. Compassion, of course, is a must for people. Everything is something to learn from. The other day I finished this book. In the book I read how, for a while many years back, the earth was of no real concern to anyone. It was barely even known. It was flat, wet sometimes, dry other times, and a child's death caused very little break in the action. The earliest humans saw all they saw, without question. The earth took care of itself, no need for thought or concern. That was before we got caught up in needing to know things better. Then, in 330 BC, Aristotle held up a plum, providing delicious evidence for a round earth. From that moment on, the earth separated more and more from the heavens. People weighed one thing against another. Trees, for instance, stood to be measured. Their rings were counted, their pith explained as a matter of cells. The book I read recounted the very first day of seeing things more clearly. Or, a better way to say it, seeing them from a more worldly perspective. And as great as that day was, it was also the start of something else falling away and becoming lost. It marked the start of paying greater attention to the pieces of the world, and less to its wise wholeness. In the ancient world, for instance, back in the heyday of nature, the tree was an important messenger of life. Soon, however, the tree became less famous as a word of truth less a representative of connection, and more a producer of rubber, ships, weapons, and hardwood flooring. Memories of trees turned from wisdom into coal. Yes, I've got lots to say about trees, which I love as much as jellyfish, even though I did put them last on the list. The history of trees shows how human greed for objects conquered our respect for life. But none of that helps me to feel better tonight. When Oliver and I were children, my mother told us the story of Odin, who hanged himself from a yew tree for 9 days and nights on some strange vision quest. She told us of Buddha, who woke up to clear thinking while sitting under a Bodhi tree. I could use some clear thinking, some tree wisdom now. It was my father who once told me that an oak lifts us to the sun and cares for us to the root, while the holly tree quietly teaches of life's unity. I was having a bad day back then when my father chose to give me those nuggets, and his words made all the difference in turning things around. There are times we all can use a bit of help. Wise words to make things clear, or a comforting story to dissolve death the way a tadpole's tail dissolves into the emerging frog. I wish I could tell the story of one thing that dissolves into something greater, the story of darkness becoming light, or the story of frog love songs sung through the night, because that is the story of the earth going well, the earth going right. I'd love to tell what wisdom the stars in the depths of their beings are trying to tell, or how one thing always leads to another, which, if you think of it, is the only possible way of growth. Mostly, I wish there was something I could tell myself that would take away the terrible feeling I have right now. Sometimes I just have to sit quietly and remember the many pieces of this life. I have to remind myself that I'm related to every inch of the world. I have to remind myself what is here, that there is nobility in pain, and that I have to find a way to recover when I'm confronted with the fragility of life on earth. The world presses on with its bees and mushrooms and its millions of people. People walk out at night to look at the stars. They hold your hand and listen to peepers. Husbands and brothers show up, having something to say. You would think, after thousands of years of evolution, people would have learned to make things easier on each other. But often they come by and add only more confusion to the riddle. Maybe we don't see the world clearly because we are just too damn full of ourselves. We've clogged our eyes with a self-satisfied, unchanging way of looking. We've bound ourselves so tightly to our one easy chair that we are unable to get up and open the door. No matter the knock, we sit tight. We don't want to move. It's like we are cemented in place by our own thoughts and feelings. Whatever the excuse, the problem of bewilderment is not that there is too much information in the world. Rather, it is that there's too little room in ourselves for greater understanding. As my brother told me an hour ago, we don't realize that we have infinite capacity for seeing things differently. If I am being honest, and there is no other way to be, I really am fragile. Oh, I put up a front of strong words and good intentions, but beneath it, I am totally vulnerable. Earlier tonight, I nearly lost it. When Eli said he had sad news, my mind jumped to conclusions. Luckily, my children were with me. Here-Abe sat at our feet. Not my cats, though. Not Nellie, my grandmother, who is so robust for her age. Not my mother, who recently has been sick. And not my father. The daycares of the world, the schools and oceans, were far from my protection. Worry feeds on what the mind imagines, and tragedy could have, in my thoughts, struck anywhere. I was not far off in thinking of children. My good friend, Chrissy, lost her 3-month-old baby girl. Eli told what he knew, which was not enough to satisfy me. There had been no warning and no sickness. Chris was walking in town after the rain had stopped. She carried her sweet baby, Rosa, in a front pack. Eli said Chris had bought diaper cream from the drugstore and carrots and bananas from the railway market, just after 5. Carrots, bananas, diaper cream. Rosa, it seemed, was sleeping the whole time. And when Chrissy came to her car, when she got her baby out to put her in her car seat, Rosa was no longer breathing. No breath, no pulse, not a sound. Her child, the perfect girl, the most agreeable, she wouldn't move. What a terrible stillness that must have been. The sidewalk alongside where Chrissy was parked had this big puddle of water reflecting the evening sun. Why did Eli give that detail? Important or not, I can't argue with it. I imagine it well. I see the puddle like it's a lake to the side, the sun going down, the flash of light on the mirror water. And then I see the breathless being, the tiny little girl who won't come back to life, no matter what you do, no matter what you say and shout and cry and shake and plead. She won't return. I can imagine Chrissy coming undone. I can feel how I would have felt, how I would have panicked. It is a devastating thing. Powerlessness washing over like black clouds covering the sun when you need the sun. It's grief out of nowhere. And all she was doing was living her life and taking care of her child, buying diaper cream, bananas. All she was doing was being a mother. I'm furious. I'm furious just thinking about it. I can see the sidewalk and that gleaming puddle, goddamn carrots and bananas on the back seat, diaper fucking cream, a dead child stopping time, the earth no longer useful, and everything at a standstill. Eli, knowing how much I disapprove of death, knew he should not tell me. He also knew he had to, and of course he did, out under the stars with his hand on Leah's head, and Oliver here for a birthday, looking on. Eli told me how little Rosa had died. But hours later, I still see her living. I look, and there she is, just as I want to see her. Her black hair, lush for one so young, her muffin hands and pumpkin feet. Then, without warning, I see her dead, and it's just not fair. So we had to get home. I wanted to call Chris and D.H. right away. Oliver got us going, and Eli kept me in place on the way. My thoughts tried to pull me off, but Eli wrapped his arm around my shoulder, which somehow was the gravity I needed. Coming near our house, we stopped to listen back. We heard the distant frogs still going on with their love songs. I didn't know we had stopped, but we had. Eli and I listened to the generous peeps. In my mind, there was small reason to sing on this suddenly black night. More reason not to. More reason not to move at all, not to think, not to listen, not to pick up the pieces. And though the peepers' music did not mock my impotence in the face of sadness, neither did it offer much relief. They sang in a language I didn't understand, non-stop through the darkness like Polaris. I turned, looking north, and there it shone, the North Star above the trees, trying to tell me something. But I did not want to listen. I took in the rest of the stars as well, none of them able to shed any meaningful light. There they were, simply up there to see, or not to see. "I know it's hard," said Eli. "Not something we can understand." "I don't want to understand it," I said. "I want it not to have happened, and if I can't have that, then I just want to be sad." "It's the saddest thing," said Eli. "It's the only honest thing, to be sad," I said. "It is," he agreed. "I wish you hadn't," I began. "I had to tell you. I wish it had not been something that you had to tell me. I was happy tonight. I was really happy. The frogs, the triangle. It's Leah's birthday tomorrow." "I get it. You don't want to be sad. But what else is there now?" Of course he was right. And he went on, "I wish I could have told you something better." "Let's go back." "And what?" "Let's go back in time to see and what," I said. "It could be anything else. I'm out in the field, holding Leah's hand. You and Oliver come walking up, all smiles. You tell me something different." "I wish I could. It's okay," I wanted to say. But the sight of our house stole the words from my mouth, took them inside, and the far-off frogs made me think of how life happens on earth, how sometimes it sings and sometimes it jokes and sometimes it smiles like a little baby just learning to smile. And then sometimes, for no good reason, it stops, like this. Me, though, in the face of it, I've got to keep on. Who knows what the real reason is for tragedy? But life, I think, means no harm. So what does it mean? I debated myself about this, and out of nowhere I remembered Uncle Theo and how Oliver had found him hanging in his bedroom years back. It was springtime then, too, and he stayed with Uncle Theo more than I would have stayed. Stayed like a friend, not like a frightened mouse. So much better to be a friend than afraid. I don't know why that came into my head. Springtime, maybe. Or maybe just because Ollie's here. It was long ago, that tragedy. I was 11. Must have been horrible what Ollie walked into in that house. Death up close. Horrible, like Chrissy unfolding her child and seeing... How can you even say it? How can you not just wish it away? But Oliver said it, said death, when he came home. I remember being in my room drawing, trying to make out the words, then coming from my room when I heard the dish of baked chicken crash onto the floor. It was a complete mess. Tonight I told myself not to crash. Up ahead walked Oliver with our children. Leah had let go of my hand. She walked with Ollie, holding his, and every so often he bent her way to listen to what she had to say. He's a good listener. Doesn't give his opinion much. I wish I were more like him. But I'm always myself, feeling as I do, being this me. Sometimes I don't get why there's suffering at every turn. Suffering that does us in, like Chrissy's grief the moment she unswaddled her baby. Suffering that's relentless because we can't stop thinking about it. And then there's suffering most of us don't even feel but could. The crying oceans that need our help, the rivers and woodlands that take beating after beating. You don't have to be clairvoyant to notice the hurt all around. All you have to do is be a conscious human being. Eli says all you have to do is breathe. Breathe in, and you take in what's wrong. To which I say, that's not a good breath. But he insists it is. He says you can transform what's wrong into something good, the way the soil transforms a seed into a living plant. The soil, plus a seed, plus the sun, plus some rain, equals a tiny green sprout. But a seed isn't wrong. It isn't suffering, I tell Eli. It's a beautiful thing loaded with potential. And he responds to my argument by saying that he's just trying to give me a picture I can relate to. And I do relate, I get it. I like his picture of transformation, though I don't think a seed and suffering are the same thing. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, and every seed suffers until it becomes its true plant. And so maybe we are all seeds, suffering just outside of life, until one day we bloom into what we are meant to be. And the suffering stops, and our time with life begins. And I think about this. I really try to do the work. Just wish sometimes that I didn't know the causes of suffering. It angers me, the causes, the senselessness, and the anger makes me sad. We kill forests with greed and the soil with impatience. We poison bees and dump trash in the ocean. We hunt foxes and bears and make rugs out of their furs. We catch baby fish and, smiling, throw them back, wounded and deformed. To what do we owe our pleasure? These heaviest of thoughts had taken over my mind when Oliver, tonight, came into the kitchen. "I'm sorry," he said, when I looked up. Such a tiny child. I stared into the darkness behind him. "Find the light inside," said Ollie. I didn't pick up what he meant. Thought he was commenting on the darkness in the room. Now, I hear he was talking about Rosa. Half an hour ago I sat in silence. Oliver came to me in the kitchen. Here Abe lay dreaming on her bed in the corner. There was an empty space across the table just waiting for someone to fill it. The clock on the oven read 3:03. Everyone else was fast asleep. Earlier I'd left a message on Chrissy's phone. I wanted so badly to give her my love. Not badly, goodly, truly. And not really my love. Love itself. I could be a willing ear for anything her grief threw at me. I could take it, transform it as best I could. I waited for her to pick up the phone, and because she didn't answer, I could also wait till she was ready. Sometimes, now is not the time. Life doesn't just happen according to my plans. Doesn't follow my hopes and dreams as if I am captain of the show. Life's not up to me or any of us. We do have to take it on, though. We have to decide to go with life and create a relationship. The way I see it, life is something we all belong to. Not like a book club or a gym. More like a home. A big old home. There's this great house, the size of the universe. One without walls, but where there's plenty of privacy. With hideaways everywhere and millions of doors and windows. It's a place where everyone is family. And I know that family is anathema to some people. It doesn't always work. It can be a source of frustration and annoyance. But all family really means is that everyone is included. Our world is relatives all around us. Every tree, every star, all frogs and cicadas. Some days it feels like there is no belonging. Other days it feels like an unequivocal yes. Yes is a world. And in this world of yes, live. Those words come from a poet Papa likes. I can't remember who. Just the positive words. Another way to see it is this. One day there's a sister duck, alone in the marsh. You go to her gently, all open arms, but she turns away, unwilling to speak. And then the next day there's a real live brother who sits with you in the kitchen. You hardly even move his way, but he draws you in with his understanding, and you feel that maybe you just don't know as much as you thought you did about life. Maybe there is something more to learn. And you are willing to learn, no matter how the lessons come your way. Through silence or talking, through the lightness of being, or through the heaviness and the dark. Our mother used to tell Oliver and me stories about our relative world. There was sad Miss Wood Duck and mean Mr. Misery Mood. There was lonely, torn, discarded shirt and tiny, friendly fly. Oliver always accepted these personalities without argument. He had, still has, this easy way with life. And more, I could use some of his rapport. To which he'd likely say, "Go ahead, take what you need." Thing is, he's not always here in my house to make the offer. Usually I'm on my own. I'm in my head, writing essays. I'm with children, taking care, or with Eli on the couch, my legs stretched over his, him rubbing my feet, which is a really good feeling. I'd take that feeling any day. Problem is, Eli's preoccupied with school most days of the week. No time for foot rubs. This weekend, however, he is choosing to be present as much as he can. And Oliver, who's visiting from up north, is present too. So present, in fact, that he came into the kitchen when I was notably low on rapport. Maybe he was coming to make me an offer. I had the lights off, except for the glow of the oven clock. I didn't care about the darkness, or much of anything at that moment. He sat with me, filling an empty space at the table. "I'm sorry," he said. "Such a tiny child." Oliver sat there, barely decipherable from Eli's books on the table. What could he say to lighten my mind? I kept staring off into the darkness, adjusting to the new company. "The day'd been going so well," I said. "What did that little girl ever do to deserve this?" Oliver must have been searching for words, as it took him a while to find what he wanted to say. I could almost hear him stumbling through possible responses, looking under piles of paper for the right idea in his mind. That's not the way to look at it. Should be. She was innocent. It's nothing about guilt or innocence. It's about a gift. What gift, Rosa? That gift is gone, and there's only sadness. Again, Oliver said nothing. His nothing went on too long. Sometimes I want quickness. I need a response now, not endless time considering. If I'm wrong, tell me. If he wasn't going to talk, "Why are you here anyway?" I asked. "Leah's birthday, you know why. I mean now. I was doing fine sitting by myself." "No." "Yes." "Not really," he said. "I figured you'd be up, indulging in the meaninglessness." "I'm not indulging. It's not some dessert." "No," said Oliver. "It's the saddest thing on earth." "Well, that's what Eli said." "Everyone feels it," said Oliver. "Not everyone says what they feel. You do. You're good at feeling." "Good at it?" "Will you speak out?" "I have no problem talking," I said. "You're the one who doesn't talk." "I talk." "No, I'm talking now," he said. I didn't want to argue. Like I told him, I wanted to be sad. Well, I didn't really want to be sad. Didn't want to indulge in sadness. I wanted to be alone. Or maybe not alone. I wanted company. I wanted to be in a world of possibilities, not in a world of problems. "Why is it so hard?" I said. "What? Human life?" "People have to take things on," said Oliver. "More and more. It's what we do." "We?" "You, me, Chrissy and D.H., Rosa, your children. You didn't say Eli." "Eli, yes. All his students, their parents. Every person you can name takes on life for herself. Didn't used to be this way. There was a time way back when nobody had to think about it. Now we do because we're growing up. In the scheme of existence, relatively speaking, humans are getting older. Thousands of years ago, we were infants, needing to be guided and told what to do. Now, we're like young adults, 19, 20-year-olds. We're more on our own, becoming receptive, I guess. People weren't receptive thousands of years ago. Well, it was a younger receptivity, said Ollie. Think of humanity thousands of years ago being more like Leah in her capacity to understand things. And just like Leah, humanity grows over time, becomes more aware and capable. Where humanity is now, the soul finds itself exposed to the world. It has to deal with all the injustices and all the suffering that goes on, whereas thousands of years ago, the soul was protected like a child hiding behind a parent. Now, we have to take on each other. We take on ourselves as well. All that we take on. It can be too much if you are overly sensitive and your soul is untempered. What a stupid design, I said. Who wants to take on suffering? Just don't have it to begin with. It's not a bad design, said Oliver. It's learning to be human. We're more capable now of relating to one another than we used to be. We've got to see it as a good thing. What I see most is our talent for self-involvement. We are very capable of being wrapped up in our own thoughts and feelings. Well, like you said, life is hard, said Oliver. It's burdens all the way around. So what helps is if we lessen the burdens. We can take things on for each other to help out. I agreed with him on that point. Be helpful. Why not? Just Don't undo yourself in the process, he added, anticipating my weakness. You're talking about me. Well, you do have a boatload of empathy, said Ollie. Thing is, if one person is stronger at the moment, he can take on something for the other. If the other is stronger, she can help out. We do things for one another as best we can. I really liked those words. I wondered, though, if they were too ambitious. Wishful thinking. But why nitpick? They expressed a movement toward a more understanding world, less wallowing in disability, more doing. I called Chrissy, I said, but she didn't answer. Well, you wouldn't either if you lost a child. Don't say that. Some things you can't say out loud. All I mean is sadness often does its good work privately. Well, I wouldn't say good. Sadness digests pain, said Oliver. Good thing for it to do. Turns a mess into something you can see. See? What do you mean, see? I said, as we sat at the kitchen table in near darkness. Somehow the word annoyed me. How do you not see? She was a baby, 3 months old, and now she's dead. Something you can make better sense of, then. How does it make any amount of sense? Rose is gone from existence. Well, you know she's not gone, not from existence. I know she's not here, I said. And it was how I said here that stopped the conversation. Because that is what bothers me the most. It's what bothers me about death. Death takes you from here. It takes you. What gives it the right? I didn't say that to Oliver, though he seemed to hear what I'd kept unspoken. For one, death doesn't take. I know what you're thinking, but it's not a taker. It's a door in this great big mystical welcoming life. It's a door, just like the many doors we all go through every day so we can get further in or farther out. So for one, death is not a taker. It's a door that welcomes. And two, the dead are not gone. You can talk to the dead about anything. That's what I'd tell Chrissy and D.H. I'd tell them, say hello and let her talk. Listen to what she has to say. Who? Rosa, said Ollie. Say hello first. Keep saying it. Hello tells her you are available. Then let her talk. She's the one with answers, and who knows how her words will come. They might come as birds, as drops of rain skittering down the window, might be messages spoken through your heart. She's got something to say about what's happening for her. Yes, I thought. Unequivocally, yes. If Rosa could talk, that would help. I stared off, imagining birds in a big morning sky. If Rosa had something to say, that would help keep her here. But how would anyone know? How would I or Chrissy know? This is the problem I have with the afterlife. How can any of us be certain if it is Rosa talking or if it is only us making up her voice? Messages spoken through the heart might be my own wishful thinking, just something that I concoct in my dreams or with the help of my opinions. If I listen, I said to Oliver, I hear confusion. If I listen, I hear her asking, why am I not with my mother? Why am I not on earth anymore? I don't think that's Rosa, said Oliver. I know it's not Rosa, but it is what we all want to know. We're all pretty insecure then, he said. What's insecurity got to do with wanting to know things? Rosa knew that she was loved, said Ollie. Chrissy held her in her arms, but she hardly knew the earth. She was only beginning to wake up. Mostly she was elsewhere. What do you mean, elsewhere? She still had a foot in the spiritual world, in the place she came from before she was born, and I don't mean she needed to go back to it. Actually, I mean the opposite. Well, the opposite would be staying here, I said, being alive on Earth. Not necessarily. The opposite of going backwards is going forwards, meeting the future, whatever that future is, with yourself. Well, there is no future for Rosa now. There's no limit to the future, said Oliver. It doesn't run out. Not for anyone. Well, I suppose he was right. What was I thinking? I didn't mean that Rosa had no future. That would be cruel. Of course she did. I just didn't know what it was. I didn't know what to think. I knew she wasn't here, and that I was sad about that. Sad and angry. Angry at someone. No one. Everything. Nothing. Angry that such a blow could happen in life when all everyone wants is to get on with things. Make it through the day without unasked-for problems, like suddenly no running water, or a branch through the roof, or a dead child. Instead of sorrow and setbacks, why not relook at the stars, listen to frogs, have a peaceful sleep, get up, have breakfast in the morning, a happy birthday party, growing older day by day. It doesn't have to be easy, but it also doesn't have to be pain and senseless loss. We all want to feel good about things and move forward, to meet the future as we go, just like Oliver said, to have that future be meaningful. And how could Rosa do that if she wasn't here any longer? I could only imagine the grief of her parents, of any parent who has lost a child. Just seems the best way to meet the future is with your days on Earth, I said. And the longer the life, the better. Rosa's life doesn't amount to 3 months on Earth, said Oliver. I don't mean it did. I mean, I don't know what I meant. Why was he doing this to me? All I wanted, like any good mother, was that children be cared for, nurtured, that they not be harmed. Do no harm, I, as a mother, tell Life. And I wanted to be sad, too. Sad just now that life in this instance had not done its job. I wanted to be sad and angry and to sigh and to let it out. I wanted not to think about this terrible thing, not to reason out the tragedy. It was a great loss to the world. That is what I really meant. I mean, it is a loss to the world, I said. Rosa dying is a great loss. Oliver rested his face in his wide-spread hands, like it was all too much, or I was too much, like I was exhausting. I wasn't exhausting, though, and I knew Oliver was not tired of me or of talking about this profound mystery. He was giving himself a break before getting back to it, giving me a moment of quiet before I had to take it on again. But why? Why take on this mess? It's just so difficult. Why would anyone want to take on such terrible things as children dying when all it does is add sorrow to existence? Why not instead shove away the bad thoughts, look up at the stars, the moon, the deep blackness beyond, and be lifted from this troublesome world into a carefree place of contentedness? Why not just say, "No, I'm not going to take this on, even if you think I should. I'm not playing your game." And then just check out and be gone. Relinquish responsibility. Be free that way. Take on nothing. Why not go like that? Oliver stayed with me as I questioned my abilities. He sat at the table in the dark with his hands on his face and helped me through. Yes is a world, and in this world of yes, live. And I knew at once that abandoning life is not the answer. I knew, of course, that Rosa had not abandoned her family. She had not forsaken life. It was the opposite. Ollie was right. So profoundly the opposite. When Rosa was born, she took on the earth like ballast to her being, and she gave back to it with her most willing self. I could almost hear Oliver going on about it in his dark, silent sitting there in the kitchen with me. He said, in my way of hearing him, that there is no greater life force than that of a newborn child. He said, Rosa had much to give, which was unadulterated goodness straight from the source. The source. The source. I didn't even question this, but took it to be a reality, something that anyone should know. And the gift of her life was for the entire world, because now, especially, the world needs all the help we can give it. Oliver said this to me, or maybe it was I who borrowed the thought from my brother and put it to words. And then, sitting as we were quiet in the kitchen, no scurrying mice, no peeping frogs, here Abe close by, it was then as if Rosa herself spoke up, agreeing. She explained what it was for her to have stepped from the spiritual world into the physical. So, I had the intention first, she explained. The thought then came to me. I saw everything quite clearly. What I could do with the unadulterated energy, the source of my life. One, I could bring it to years of time on earth and use that time, all my energy, to grow into someone useful. Nothing wrong with that. It's what most try to do. They take their potential and turn it into something real and good, like a redwood, or a mountain, or a trumpeter swan, like a generous human being. Most do this slowly, day by day, over the course of a lifetime. But I saw that there are many, so many trees that are sick to begin with in the troubled soils, fish that struggle to breathe in exhausted rivers and lakes, and so many people, millions of souls on earth this very day, who suffer fatigue and burden before they even have a chance at life. So many birds and baby squirrels who fall from their nests and never make it to the promised future on earth. I saw that I'd like to help them get where they need to be. Right now. Right now I wanted to help, and I had two choices. I could give the potential I had. I could dole it out to myself upon this earth over time. Or I could contribute the entire store of myself to the troubled world without delay. And that's it. It's the intention I had to begin with. to be as selfless as possible. I wanted to give myself straight from the source, present what nourishing calories were in me, like a plate of cookies, a glass of immediate milk. All of us can use some starter nourishment. And please, you must, oh, please know that I love you. Rosa spoke these words from a place of truth. So true was her voice that I knew it was her. But they were not words for me. It was for her parents that she spoke. You brought me here, said Rosa. I love you, Mommy. I love you, Pops. You held me in your arms. I felt your touch. I was here long enough to have felt the beauty of this world. I was able to open my eyes, had the chance to be friends with the sun and the air and the warmth of your skin. Here is nice. Here is a good place to be. You've got to believe in here. I think I have always wanted to help it. I think that all of us do. We want the earth to live up to its potential, right? We want to love each other and our entire world, even the mice in the walls and the noisy frogs. You've got to trust me on that. We each want to be a help, not a harm, a finder of true futures, not a maker of false ones. And thanks for it all. Thank you for bringing me here so I, for my part, could do what I've always wanted to do. You're the best. It's true. I love you so much. And I saw Oliver move his hands from his face. He rose from the table as if it had been enough for one night. He came over, placed a hand on my back, said something I didn't quite hear, something about the soul, or about this old kitchen table where we sat. I know. I'd like to have a new table, a larger one. Maybe one I'd even make with my own hands. I'd like to think better too, with my own mind, thinking on my own, clear as a starry night sky, clear as day, clearer, as aligned as Rosa, as aligned as life itself. But one thing at a time, I thought. Now, alone and uncertain, the dark of the room comforts me. Here Abe at my feet. All my children are sleeping sound and silently in their beds, even Leah in hers. How nice is that? And Eli, the love of my life. I should lie down with him, get a few hours of shut-eye. But it's not so easy to shut myself down with all that's going on in the world. I can't turn myself off. Can't much move either, not off to bed at least. There's too much to think, too much to do. And there's something different that needs to happen. It needs to happen now, it seems. And look, here it is. As the promise of life would have it, something amazing does take place. Alone in the kitchen, I know it at once. I see it all around me. The dark of the room becomes light. A good 2 hours before the sun, inspiration enters. It takes place here. It's not even a sign, simply light that rises from the floorboards. It settles from the ceiling, It streams in from the darkness outside, from the near 4 a.m. night. And what I breathe in the room breathes new life into me. Leah. Leah was born at 4:05 in the early a.m. Pisces rising. Eli and I and Laurie, the midwife, together in the birthing room. Alpha and Inda off with my parents. Ollie, who knows, somewhere else in the world. I remember it like it was yesterday. Wasn't yesterday, though. It was 5 years ago. Yet how could I ever forget? I won't forget, because memory keeps after me about what's real. I don't get tired remembering. Don't get tired thinking on what's real either. Don't get tired trying to see things more clearly, trying to see things how others might see them, not just me. And truth of all truths, my future, that great unknown, it does not get tired of me. It does not grow tired waiting for me to find it. There it is, up ahead, patient as a faithful dog, dreaming of the treats in my open hand, craving, craving, craving my inspired thoughts. Some things that are truest take a while to happen. Some things that are quiet have the most powerful voices. I have enormous energy for this world. My energy, my passion, and my effort keep growing. It's endless. Make no mistake. Morning, I'll make pancakes instead of mistakes. I'll make pancakes for everybody. I'll pick some spring flowers for us all. And much as I'm able, I will say hello